but the part that was so ridiculous is when I looked at what the debt ceiling was when we were in grad school compared to what it is today. You know what that was?
Yeah. What?
It was 5 trillion when we were in grad school, and now it's 30 trillion.
Yeah, what if I told you, I'm like, yeah, porn, dude, after grad school, I had $100,000 in debt, and you're like, oh, cool, how much do you have now? And I was like, $600,000 in debt. You'd be like, damn, Dave, you're not doing good.
That was quick math, dude. I like that. Yeah. No. I would say you're doing terrible.
Warning, this podcast is for entertainment only and not intended for medical purposes.
99% of people don't even know what the fuck the debt ceiling is. They have no idea what that term even means, all right? And 99.99% of people don't understand the economics of the government and our country and taxes and raising the debt ceiling and lower the... Like very, very, very few people even have an understanding enough to give an educated opinion. But that doesn't stop everyone from having their opinion, thinking, no, we should vote for Biden, no, we should vote for Trump, oh, this, oh, that, oh, I'm so scared about the debt ceiling, and nobody even fucking understands it.
That's why I was thinking, like, let's just superimpose psychological models onto the debt ceiling and in an attempt to describe it in a way, since economists have openly decided or declared that we can't make sense of this debt ceiling through our models. That's our basic agreement, is that economists can't explain this. And it's like, really? You guys can't explain it? Well, that's pretty fucking funny, because if you're just going to look through, let's do the first lens of this used to be one of my favorites, is family systems theory, right? And there's multiple family systems theories. They all came out in like the 1960s. I'm not going to get into them individually, but basically we would say that the White House and Congress would be the parents, right? And
yep.
Now follow me, because you might have to correct me, but I think they're the parents, and then you have the Republicans, Democrats, who are basically the elder siblings. So this is going to be a big family structure, right? Like, we're going to go back to like homesteading when there was lots of kids, right?
Cool. Yeah.
Lots of kids, because then all of the citizens are the children. All the voters are the children who are voting, saying, "Oh, what about us? What are we going to do?" And then the older siblings kind of like argue over who is going to tell the kids what the parents have decided, right? And the problem with this structure is that the parents, meaning the White House with Bitey Boy and Congress, are not agreeing. They're not coming to any kind of a system that seems to be functional, right?
Yep.
And so that dysfunction is just constantly being aired or displayed, and so then the kids down below live in this constant anxiety about, it's this type of dysfunction in family systems leads to serious psychiatric problems and actual physical health problems, which we see just rampant through the United States. And everyone can't figure out, like, wow, why is this happening? And it's like, I don't really want to say, oh, it's happening because of the debt ceiling, but how far does this family systems dysfunction go, and how much impact does it have? You think I've gone too far with this the psychological comparison?
No, not at all. But I do kind of want to do this thing that I always like to do, and I'm going to run with your same thing, is I want to explain in really simple terms what I think this debt ceiling thing is and what our problem is. Okay, so let's see if I can do this super briefly. So in your farmstead thing, let's say there's a family, there's a mom and a dad, and they got a bunch of kids. And this is way back in the old days, and it's just a farmer. Okay, so because I want to give a sense of, because I don't think people even understand quite what debt means. It's not a super obvious concept. So this family, they decided this summer, because the kids were like, hey mom, hey dad, let's not work so hard this summer because it's a super nice summer and we've been working really hard our whole lives. Let's kind of have a more chill summer and really play. We'll take lots of trips to the creek and swim, and we'll pick a lot of flowers and we'll catch a lot of turtles. And mom or dad are like, okay, cool. And they're like, we'll just ask the neighbors to make a bunch more food, and then we'll get their food, and then we'll pay them back next summer. And sweet, so we have a good ass summer, and the neighbors are like, all right, cool, because like whatever, like they're just hardworking people, so they lend us all their grain. We have a great summer. We survive the winter on their grain, and then come next summer, it's like, oh shit, we can't play at all this summer. Fuck. But then the kids are like, screw you, parents. Get out, we're kicking you out. We're inviting some new parents from Massachusetts. Come, hey guys, can we borrow from a different neighbor this summer? And the new parents are like, sure. And then you just keep doing that. And now you owe so many people all this food, and you got to work so hard, and you keep thinking you can just put the work off until the next summer. But eventually, shit's going to come to fucking roost, and then you're gonna have to work your ass off and have no fun for like 7 years to pay back all the neighbors that helped you out, or the neighbors will come over with a shotgun and steal your shit.
Yeah. Dude, stop making so much economic sense. You're making this point even more ridiculous, where it's like yes, anyone can comprehend that little kid's story you just told, right? Like, thanks for breaking it down in terms that that literally a 7-year-old would understand. And it's like...
Right. It's necessary because economics, dude, it gets so complicated. It's insanely complicated. And every time there's some new thing that's going to be difficult, they invent some new economic vehicle to create it more complicated and to kick the can down the road.
Concept of not having delayed gratification also is a source of anxiety, which is really a bizarre phenomenon, right? It's almost like this is starting to point to, we might have a country or a general design in our country that is anxiety provoking.
Yes.
Do you think that's possible?
It is at least more conspiracy theory than the family system thing, is that these aren't parents. These are people who get elected and they want to stay in power. So they're going to be trying to manipulate or dupe or persuade their kids into thinking they're doing a good job so that they can get elected again. And that's a very different dynamic than the family thing.
Yeah, okay, so we're breaking from family systems theory because it was only a temporary model to superimpose to help us get this conversation started. The psychological theory of limited resources, right? Like, what happens when you perceive the world as just a finite amount of resources and there isn't enough? Like, what happens to you, right? Well, that's what's being said to us over and over through multiple channels, right? It's not just the debt ceiling. It comes in the form of like, well, there's not enough energy. Oh yeah, well there's not enough retirement. There's not enough savings for retirement. I guess there's compounding effects, but it it all then comes back to an increased stress and anxiety, depression, and physical illness. Again, it's almost like each of these theories are somewhat trying to explain how we have almost like a systemic problem leading to what we're calling the mental health crisis. Mm-hmm. Like, is it okay for us to make this comparison where we're saying like, hey, the mental health crisis is somewhat tied to the way that our country is being run?
Yes, I think it's essential to try to connect those dots. And then the opposite is also true, that the way our country is being run is reflective of our psychological state.
Oh,
they're both true.
Well, yeah, what is that? What do you mean? You mean that?
Well, like for instance, the parents agree to keep borrowing grain from their neighbors because the psychology of the kids is like, yeah, that's cool to keep borrowing grain from the neighbors, so they just keep doing it.
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying.
And then the inverse of it, which is what you were saying, is the fact that the parents keep borrowing grain from the neighbors, and year after year the parents get more and more anxious and manic and delusional in the attempt to think that this is okay, and the parents are freaking out. That starts to freak the kids out, and the kids are like,
But this can't be an entire episode just about like, hey, everyone's mental health is pretty unstable based on this actual structure that we live under, right? That can't be the story.